concept of Ma'at. Dr. Ricchetti.
Ma'at is the single most important concept of communication. Ma'at is the principal concept of balance, harmony, balance, order on Earth, in the universe, in human beings, in everything that exists. Ma'at is about the order, it is about the divine consciousness, it is about the connection of everything that exists and how to maintain the connection and how to maintain that the nature of everything that exists. Ma'at is the essence of everything. And it's the essence of, it was in Kemet, the essence of their social order, the principle upon which their governance was based, upon which education was based. Everything in their lives were based upon maintaining harmony and balance in all life, and among human beings, in nature, in the universe, in everything. Ma'at is so key and the most important thing. When you think about, when people ask the question, well, what is spirituality all about in ancient Kemet? Spirituality in Kemet is about Ma'at. It's not necessarily about individual Netaru, even though all of the Netaru principles are aspects of the oneness, the wholeness, and everything, since everything is connected, and everything exists in everything, including Ma'at. But when we talk about the spirituality, and I think a lot of people really mean, well, how shall I live my life? How shall I treat others? How shall I relate to the universe? That is with Ma'at, because one of the key principles of Ma'at in human life on this planet is getting along with everyone, helping us, helping people, feeding people, giving. As a matter of fact, the saying is, the Ma'atian statement, I call it, is, I did Ma'at, I spoke Ma'at. I gave a boat to him and her who did not have a boat. I gave food to the hungry. I gave clothing to the naked. I was a father to the orphan. I was a mother to all the children. So I respected my mother. I respected my father. I was respected among the people. This statement is kind of like Ma'atian statement. It varies with many more things. It's their way of saying, I did what was right for myself, my family, my community, for everyone. As a matter of fact, one of the ways we translate Ma'at is to do the right thing, to speak what is right and honest and truthful, to do that what is right, that is right and just. That is what Ma'at is. And so when we think of spirituality, like I said before, that is what is spiritual. How we treat one another, how we treat the planet, how we treat all of existence, the animals, the plants, how we treat all life with respect and honor. Because once you go against that, then what happens is there is imbalance. And that imbalance leads towards disease, destruction. And in order to maintain a happy, healthy, whole, developing creation, we must do Ma'at. And that is respecting all life and taking care of all life. Loving and taking care of each other in all life. That is Ma'at. That's what Ma'at is all about. Now, Dr. Jeffries did explain earlier downstairs about the so-called judgment scene. Very important, or the time in where one's id or one's consciousness is weighed against the feather of Ma'at. And so there, in the Paradigm Rule, which probably everyone here knows what that is, the book of Coming into Light, at one's passage from the cemetery to transcend to the next dimension of light, what happens is one of the places that one comes to in that transition, in that passage, is the place where your ib, your consciousness, Dr. Jeffers called it she called it the heart, but it's basically the same thing. The heart is the seat of one's consciousness. And your consciousness is weighed against the feather of Ma'at. Ma'at is symbolized by a feather. And the feather is very light. And so if your consciousness balances, imagine that, with a feather, then that means that you are true, you're pure, you've done what is right, you've maintained a balance in your life. You did good, you brought good into the world, you sent bad into the world. And then you declare at that time, true of voice, that you've been truthful, true of voice. And then after that, you're allowed, your consciousness, your id, transcends to become united with God. Well, first of all, transcends to become united with Usir. And by Usir, symbolically, the Necher Usir means rebirth, renewal, resurrection, regeneration. And so that is, after that, then the Ba goes on to unite with Ra, to unite with light, become light, where it can be reborn again. Or the Ba can take any shape that it ever wishes again, according to the Buddhists. But that's what Ma'at is in a nutshell. Ma'at is a complicated science, it's complex, but it's simple at the same time. You don't have to read a lot of books to understand speaking the truth and saying what is right. That is really very simple. But yet, for people, it's also a very complex thing because it's not as easy to do necessarily as as it sounds. But so Ma'at is both simple and complex, and it also is a whole science of universal order and how everything can stay and remain and form, and nature is also based upon the workings of Ma'at, thinking about that balance. So,
you just mentioned that what we know as the justice, actually Ma'at is justice, and in Greece, that's where they began with the statue of justice, with the scales. That's what we know in our justice system. They have the scales that comes from Ma'at.
That's right. They took that image of Ma'at, the scales, but they didn't take Ma'at. And another thing, the scales, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Western scales of justice are tilted. And also, I think sometimes she wears a blindfold
Yes.
in the West. And so that's totally different.
It's different, but the idea comes from Ma'at.
Well, yes and no. The idea of the scales, but showing tilted scales and the blindfold to justice there's no relationship. But just taking that scale from ancient Kemet, where the scales were balanced and very clearly and very present in the room. Those are two different things completely. But that's what they have always done. They take our symbolism and redefine it or give it a completely different meaning that's just totally
Different
in a different direction that has nothing to do with a symbolism that as they found it.
Is there a relationship between Ma'at and St. Clements?
Well, those are two different things. First of all, once again, Ma'at is speaking the truth, doing what is right and doing what is good in terms of human beings. It's the basis of social order. It's the basis of the way we act with one another. It's the basis of leadership. It's the basis of governance. It's the basis of education, everything. So he mentioned the 42 declarations of Ma'at. And the 42 declarations of Ma'at before you get to the place, the scene I just described with the scales, where your ib is weighed against the feather, before your ba travels to that place or transcends to that step in the whole process of transition, you are confronted with having to address the Neturu, to address nature, and to address your own consciousness. And so you go, there's this the symbolism is a hall, and there are 42 Neturu, and each of them has a name, and each name is called. And then the person makes a declaration, I have not done Yisvit. Yisvit is kind of like the counter of Ma'at, that's wrongdoing, as opposed to doing what is right, that's lying and being dishonest and distruthful as opposed to being truthful. So you make these declarations about how you have lived Ma'at in life, how you have lived Ma'at. I've not tilted the scales. I have not done wrong to anyone. I have not killed. I have not stolen food. I have not lied. I have not eavesdropped. And it goes on. And there are 42 of them in some of the papyruses, but in all of the papyruses or all of the books that come forth by day, the number varies. So it doesn't have to be 42. In different books of Herod and Hebrew, there are different numbers. And if you think about it, this is what I say. If you think about it, everything we do in life is a declaration to Ma'at. If you think about it that way, if you know that on that day, at that time, you will be making these declarations about how you lived Ma'at, then everything you do, you should be able to declare it on that day that you live this way. So it's really not about the number. It is really about how you lived your life. That is it.
And brother, just to make it clear, there is no Ten Commandments so-called before Moses. Moses, if you believe it was Moses, was raised and educated in Kemet and was a Kemetic priest, if you believe that story. So we just took ones that was relevant to his people out of that list. Because you have to understand, Moses is a so-called lawgiver of the Hebrew people. So you have to put things in proper perspective. Moses would be living 1500 BCE. The pyramids are 2,000 years old.